Floorrex Spc floors are a type of floating floors that can be placed directly on flat, sturdy and dry subfloors. It is important to note that when installing these floors, you should have around 10% more material than the size of the room. Before starting the installation, it is important to thoroughly read the installation manual. Additionally, it is recommended to let your Floorrex Spc floors sit in the room where they will be installed for at least 24 hours. This allows the flooring to adjust to the temperature and humidity levels of the room. An underlay mat is not needed because the floor already has a 1 mm thick underlayment attached to it. You only need a few tools like a utility knife, tape measure, pencil, tri-square and pull bar to install the floor. To install flooring, you will need a soft-faced or rubber mallet, a tapping block and 6 to 8 mm flooring wedge spacers. It is advisable to lay the flooring parallel to the direction of incoming sunlight. To achieve a better appearance, define the size of the planks in the first and last rows for a more consistent look in the room once the installation is complete. Measure the length of the room and divide it by the width of the plank. Consider the wedge spacer gaps at the sides of the room. The remainder row should be cut so the planks in the first and last row each have at least 5 cm width. To ensure proper installation, you need to determine the correct length for both the starting and ending planks in each row. Start by measuring the width of the room, then divide it by the length of the plank. Keep in mind the wedge spacers at the side of the room. Lastly, make sure that the remaining plank at the end is at least 20 cm long. To ensure the proper length of the start and end planks, you may need to cut the first plank. Here's how. Mark the plank, then use a utility knife and straight edge to score it. Additionally, don't forget to backcut the underlayment on the bottom of the plank. To begin the installation, first make sure the subfloor is clean, dry and flat. Then break the plank along the score line. It's important to note that Floorrex Spc is a rigid flooring, so you need to handle the tongues and grooves with care as they can be fragile. To protect the planks, use wedge spacers between the walls and planks in all areas of the room. Once the floor is installed, the gap will be hidden by edging strips of your choice. Start the installation process by placing the first plank with its tongue side towards the top left corner. To install the first row of planks, start from the left and work your way to the right. To secure them together, align the tongue and groove of the new plank at a slight angle with the previous plank's tongue and groove, and then click them together. You will know they are properly connected when there are no gaps between the two planks. In order to install the planks, it is crucial to ensure that the first row is perfectly straight as it serves as the foundation for connecting all the other rows. To adjust the size of the last plank in a row, simply rotate it so that the edge which will be connected to the previous plank is facing the wall, and place the plank over the gap between the previous plank and the wall. Then mark, score and snap the plank. You will now have a plank of the right length to complete the row, which must be at least 20 cm. Stagger the planks of the first two rows and make sure there is always at least 20 cm overlap between the short seams from row to row. Now click in the next plank, starting at the short side, so the long side comes to rest on the groove of the preceding plank. To lay down a plank, slightly lift the previous plank and fit the new one into its groove. Lower both planks together, ensuring they are securely locked. If there are any small gaps, use a tapping block and mallet to close them tightly. After laying the first two rows, the rest of the rows will be straightforward to lay. If you need to lay a plank around a protruding object, measure the object and mark the dimensions on the plank. Then cut the plank to fit those dimensions and remove any extra material. To finish the flooring installation, take out the wedge spaces and put on the edging strips to cover the gaps in the floor. In doorways, use T-molding or multi-purpose reducer to create a seamless and appealing transition between different rooms. Now, you can start enjoying your brand new Floorrex Spc floors.
Floorrex German technology, making living happier.